Turn up. Very Chino. Ooh. That was a sweet transition. Oh, that's a sick groove. It's nice too. The transitions on this record so far are really, really nice. Yeah. I feel your all right, they're bringing back the metalcore. Ooh, that song could be my favorite. I've heard all the singles, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Silver Swarm, I heard this one came out 2 months ago. 221,000 views. That's pretty good. They got into the club, Night at the Roxbury style. Love this part. It reminds me so much of Health. All right. Only every year. Ooh, that was just a transition? Okay. I don't know if I've heard this. I don't recognize this video. Came out 1 month ago, that's why. The new metal look that they're going for. I love that. I'm liking this. This is just like a better heroine so far right now. But the songs are kind of like blending together. Nerve too, yeah. Like they're what was it? Track 5 was like the more mellow track. Fall Only Ever You. I like that song because it felt different. This chorus, man. Oh, same guy. Nice. Okay, what's next? Obsession. Okay, so yeah, this was a while ago. When did this come out? A year ago. Damn. I wonder if the mix sounds different. It's gotta sound different on the Spotify version. All right. These songs are sweet. I love the choruses. Crush. Ooh, oh. Ooh, we're going all weekend on this one. Oh, I got a playlist for this song. We're really mellowing out for the last couple tracks over here. It's over? It's over? That went by so fast. That went by so fast. All right, Thornhill Bodies. Let's talk about it. Oh man, I was left with wanting more, to be completely honest, and I don't know what that is. Maybe something experimental, something more epic. I just was like, the album just kind of finished, and I definitely enjoyed it for what it is, because this is Thornhill refining on heroin and doubling down on that sound, but making it more enjoyable for me, because I didn't personally love heroin. I do enjoy the Dark Pool, but I don't want them to write another metalcore record. Like, also metalcore is so saturated that I love it when bands experiment. And here it's experimental, but it's also kind of similar to what they were doing with heroin. It's also kind of similar to a lot of the bands that it's taking like sounds and ideas from like Deftones and maybe Chino's other project Crosses. And I just did a Def Heaven album reaction. I feel like there's even ideas of like Def Heaven-y a little bit. Whether or not they're actually influenced by it, I don't know. But I'm just saying there's a lot of bands that are kind of doing this sound. And Thornhill kind of does it in a cool way where it bridges like between like metalcore a little bit. This isn't really a metalcore record. It's more alt metal and new metal and some shoegaze, but they do borrow the breakdowns and the grooves and some of the tones found from metalcore music. And that's what makes it a cool record. It does fall into metalcore. I feel like the metalcore fan base, but it's not really metalcore. And for that alone, that does make it quite a unique record, but also not as unique as I was kind of personally hoping. Now, these could be just my expectations, but I did enjoy this record. But after finishing it, I was left with wanting a little bit more. I found that most of the singles were probably still the strongest. And don't get me wrong, Revolver, track 2 was sick. Only Ever You was nice, and the last 3 songs were actually quite beautiful. So I do like Elements, but I did find myself enjoying Nerve and Obsession the most, which are the oldest songs off this record. But that could just because like I've had more time to sit with them and enjoy with them. And this album could be a grower because it didn't necessarily blow my mind on first listen. It didn't really wow me as a listener because maybe the tones, maybe the grooves all felt quite familiar to a lot of the ideas from metalcore music. maybe that's the reason why I'm not fully gripped by this record. But don't get me wrong, I absolutely enjoy the sex appeal. I love that they're going into this sexy, cool appeal for their music, and cool is probably the best word to describe this album from start to finish. It's cool because it's so consistent, it's so cohesive with that sex appeal and that 90s aesthetic that, yeah, it's like similar to like the bands like Chino and like Deftones. And one thing is that this album does have a nice ebb and flow in variety, but I was left with kind of like wanting more of that. Maybe the heavier songs that hit even heavier, maybe the lighter songs would be even lighter. That's just me as a listener, that I still enjoyed what these guys are putting out, and they are such a solid band that, you know, they are also not cookie cutter, which is something that I absolutely like cookie cutter in terms of song structure, and even just ideas. The vocals are also just so many vocal effects, interesting production choices that it makes them not cookie cutter. At the same time, I'm personally not loving some of the vocal effects on this. It feels like it's a little too much, just like Heroin. I know that's their style choice. Just me as a listener, I'm not really pulled in. Maybe I can't understand the lyrics at all, and just maybe some of the moaning can be a little bit too much for me. But there's times where his vocals just hit the falsettos, and his chorus and melody choices are all pretty unique from each other, which is something I like about this record. But the effects do take me out of the experience quite a bit. Guitar tone is also punchy, and I love the distortion on it. And they do change like the settings quite a bit for like these clean settings that are a little bit more shoegazy, grungy sounding. But I was also thinking that a lot of the grooves and distortion elements felt a little bit similar, and I don't know if maybe some lead work could have helped me feel like a little bit rejuvenated by this record. But this is just me as a listener, because I feel like a lot of people are going to like this record. Thornhill is a respected, great band, and Heroin, although polarizing, there's still a lot of Heroin fans, but there's also Dark Pool fans that are wanting more Dark Pool. So I'm curious to know what people think about this record, because yeah, this is just Heroin refined, but people who want the Dark Pool again, they might be disappointed, or they might enjoy this because it does have the heavy elements from the Dark Pool, but it does lean less from metalcore and more towards alt metal and new metal. Visually going for the 90s aesthetic or early 2000s aesthetic from like the grunge and new metal era. And I love what these guys are going for, and, you know, being inspired by, and kind of maybe bringing it to a new audience of like metalcore listeners that weren't very familiar with this stuff from the early 2000s. But me, I still was left with wanting a bit more. It could have been more experimentation. It could have been more things that subverted my expectations, because yeah, this just feels like Heroin but more refined. And if that's what you want, then there's no doubt that you're going to enjoy this record. Really solid release. Could be a grower for me, but these guys are definitely one of the coolest bands in the scene, and for that I gotta give it a 7 out of 10. That is my thoughts on Thornhill Bodies. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, so comment down below. Spice up my life. Guys, what'd you think about this record? I'd love to know. Also, if you're MVB, you're here on Patreon, then feel free to check out all the other album reactions since you have access. You know, there's over like maybe like 300 album reactions here, like tons of content here on Patreon only. But if you're watching this on YouTube, the edited down version, I appreciate the shit out of you, man. Like, I appreciate all of you. Feel free to join the Discord if you want to chat Thornhill with me and others. But, you know, I support the support, whether it's Patreon or YouTube. You guys are all sick. But on that, thank you for tuning in. Till next time. Peace.